Hey everyone, let's jump right into it. Today we're exploring an explainer that sits right at this crazy intersection of law, ethics, and basic human survival. We're going to unpack a real world contradiction that honestly feels like a script straight out of a Hollywood movie. I mean, imagine relying on an illegal, incredibly dangerous practice to save dozens of lives during a national emergency, awarding those rescuers the absolute highest civilian honors, and then arresting them months later for doing the exact same thing just to feed their families. It's a paralyzing moral puzzle, and we're going to untangle the whole shebang together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with a real news trigger, move into a fictional ethics dilemma, identify the key stakeholders, break down the core ethical dilemmas, apply some philosophical analysis for a decision, and wrap up with institutional reforms.
Section 1, the real news trigger.
So let's ground ourselves in reality first. This entire ethical dilemma actually originates from a real news trigger reported by the Press Information Bureau. Specifically, on August 6, 2026, 12 tunnel rescue experts, who are commonly known as rat miners, were awarded the Sarvotam Jivan Raksha Padak by Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. Now, if you aren't familiar with this, it's not just your run-of-the-mill medal. This is literally the highest civilian honor for life-saving in India. These guys were celebrated on a national stage as absolute heroes. But, well, here is where the story gets super complicated.
Now, what's really interesting here is the glaring contradiction. On one hand, you have this dark reality, rat hole mining, which is basically digging manually through super narrow tunnels, is completely banned by the National Green Tribunal. It's totally unscientific and insanely dangerous. But on the flip side, during massive tunnel collapses, when the multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art drilling machines fail, this so-called legal skill is literally the only method that works. It becomes an absolute life-saving necessity. So think about that. The state bans the profession, relies on it during a massive crisis, and then awards medals for it. Just keep that irony in mind as we step into our case study.
Section 2, the fictional ethics dilemma.
To really feel the weight of this situation, we need to zoom in from the big national news to a deeply human perspective. We're going to use a fictional case study based directly on those real events to practice our ethical decision-making. Let me introduce you to our two main characters. First up, we've got Subhash Topo, a state labor commissioner. A few months back, 30 workers got trapped in a collapsed tunnel in his district. Modern machines failed, so local rat miners were called in. They dug through the rubble by hand and miraculously saved all 30 lives. Our second character is Bursa Orion, one of those hero rat miners. But today Bursa isn't getting a medal. He is standing in front of Subhash because his team was just caught in a labor department raid, practicing their banned trade to extract coal. Subhash is completely trapped between following the strict letter of the law and overwhelming gratitude. You've got to hear Bursa's defense because it carries so much emotional weight. He looks at the commissioner and says, "Sir, you called us heroes, but gave no machines, no training, no alternative jobs. What will we eat?" Basically, the state took the photo ops, they handed out the certificates, but the second the cameras packed up and left, zero rehabilitation. Bursa and his team went right back to the only dangerous banned skill they knew, just to survive. So I have to ask you, how do you punish a hero for surviving? Subhash's bosses are demanding strict punishment and massive fines. Their argument is totally rigid. The law is equal for everyone, whether you were a hero in the past or not. If we let them go, the mining mafias are going to use the exact same excuse. It's a completely paralyzing choice for anyone in charge. Section 3, identifying the key stakeholders. Before we even try to solve this, let's map out exactly who is in the crossfire of this impending decision. First, we have Subhash Topo, the guy actually making the call, torn between duty and empathy. Second, Bursa and his team, who are the most vulnerable people here, pushed into illegality just to put food on the table. Third, you have the state government and the labor department, who hold the institutional blame for handing out shiny medals but failing to provide actual substantive livelihood support. And finally, an often overlooked group, those 30 rescued families who literally owe their lives to Bursa. Throwing Bursa in jail is a huge slap in the face to that gratitude. Notice how institutional failure essentially shifts the entire burden of survival right onto the shoulders of the most vulnerable. Section 4, Core Ethical and Moral Dilemmas. Let's see how this all builds up into our core ethical breakdown. The biggest clash here is between the equal application of law and contextual fairness. The rulebook says rat hole mining is illegal, full stop. And treating everyone identically is, of course, a massive pillar of justice. But on the flip side, we have contextual fairness. If we just blindly apply the law and completely ignore the intense circumstances of a man who just saved 30 lives and has literally no other way to feed his kids, well, the law actually stops being just. It becomes an instrument of severe injustice. And this brilliantly illustrates a bunch of other underlying dilemmas. We're looking at symbolic recognition versus substantive support. Because handing out a medal is easy, but providing a steady job is hard. We've got huge state policy contradictions, where the government acts totally hypocritically by using banned labor in an emergency, but punishing it during peacetime. There's institutional accountability, where the state is basically blaming the vulnerable for its own failure to help them out. And lastly, the dignity of unconventional labor. These workers are out there risking their lives in informal, hazardous conditions, and they deserve both formal safety and genuine respect. Section 5. Philosophical Analysis and Decision.
So what on earth should Commissioner Sabash actually do? To write his final report, we aren't just going to guess. We're going to bring in some legendary philosophical frameworks to guide this decision. Sabash essentially has a matrix of 3 choices. Option 1, strict punishment. He throws the book at them. But, as we just talked about, this unfairly blames the workers for a broken system. Option 2, complete forgiveness. He just lets them walk. But that weakens environmental laws and sets a really dangerous precedent for actual greedy mining mafia. Then we have option 3, suspend the punishment and initiate rehabilitation. He pauses the punitive action, connects them to skill development, and pushes the state for a permanent policy. Let's see how philosophy validates this third option.
Enter John Rawls and his incredibly famous difference principle. Rawls basically argues that a social system or a specific decision is only just if it improves the condition of its most vulnerable or least advantaged members. And let's be real, Bursa Orion, with zero alternative livelihood and forced into a collapsing tunnel just to survive, is undeniably the least advantaged here. Punishing him just makes his condition worse. Any just decision has to prioritize lifting him out of that vulnerability rather than just criminalizing his poverty. So, the crucial point is balancing that empathy with Aristotle's concept of distributive justice. Aristotle teaches us that true justice doesn't mean treating everyone exactly identically, like a bunch of robots. It means fair treatment that is actually proportional to a person's contribution and their specific circumstances. Since Bursa made this monumental contribution by saving 30 lives, treating him exactly the same as a purely exploitative mining mafia boss would be profoundly unjust. His unique circumstances demand a nuanced, proportional response. So merging Rawlsian empathy for the vulnerable with Aristotelian fairness, Commissioner Sabash's ruling becomes crystal clear. The decision is to adopt option 3. He needs to immediately suspend the punitive action against Bursa's team. Next, he should get them enrolled into formal licensed tunnel rescue training or find them alternative employment. And most importantly, he has to send a very strong recommendation up the chain to the state government to create a permanent rehabilitation policy. Boom. This transforms a rigid legal dead end into an actual pathway for justice.
Section 6, Institutional Reforms for the Future.
But look, just fixing Bursa's problem today isn't enough. How do we ensure no administrator ever has to face this paralyzing choice again? We need real, systemic, institutional reform. Here are 4 actionable public policy steps. Number 1, implement a Rescue Heroes rehabilitation policy, a clear, time-bound plan for alternative livelihoods for emergency responders. Number 2, create a licensed tunnel rescue force. I mean, this is brilliant. Take the illegal rat miners, bring their incredible, undeniable skills into the legal framework, train them with modern safety gear, and make them an official rescue task force. Number 3, develop skill-to-livelihood bridge programs to transition informal workers into safe legal jobs. And number 4, post-recognition tracking. If the state gives you a massive national medal, there absolutely must be a formal mechanism to track your long-term welfare.
This all aligns perfectly with the recommendations of the Second Administrative Reforms Commission. True administrative sensitivity isn't about rushing in to give out medals for a quick photo op. It requires state policies to have real continuity and a long-term vision. We have to move past the immediate, symbolic applause and ensure actual, lasting welfare. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. How can we, as a society, ensure that today's celebrated hero doesn't become tomorrow's punished criminal? Because giving respect is easy, but taking responsibility for a life, well, that's where true governance actually begins. Thank you so much for engaging with this complex, fascinating analysis with me. Keep asking the tough questions, keep looking for those structured solutions, and I will see you in the next explainer.